Welcome to Peter and Ruffy's football show here on STV2. The main talking points on tonight's programme. Celtic bow out of the Champions League. Hibs move up to third in the Premiership. Alan Stubbs rolls himself out of the Dundee United job. Yep, we've got lots to talk about on the programme tonight. We'll look back at Celtic against Bayern Munich from last night and all the other Champions League results and look ahead to the fixtures this evening. Alan Ruff is alongside me, Peter Martin. It's got to be Wednesday. Our bookroom guest is the former Rangers and Scotland skipper Barry Ferguson, who's with us here on the programme to look back first and foremost at the back pages of the newspapers. Here's the Daily Record. No surprise that all the newspapers actually looking at the Bayern Munich game from last night, which Celtic lost out narrowly by 2-1. There's a story there about Pedro Caixinha has been paid by Rangers, his settlement, and Stubbs snubs the Tannadice job. Alan Stubbs not going to take that job. I think he was the front runner. And the Sun, again, blood, net and tears, and reference to Alan Stubbs snubbing United. And the Mail is our final offering, beaten but not bowed. That's Celtic 1, Bayern Munich 2. There's a look at the Press and Journal. Just there, tough call for McInnes. This is, of course, Jimmy Calderwood saying the Dons boss could be torn between two clubs if indeed Rangers come calling. We'll talk to Barry Ferguson about that as well. But let's look back and reflect on last night's Champions League match. Celtic 1, Bayern Munich 2. Ruffy, what a game.
Yeah, I thought it was a good game, end-to-end stuff. I thought Celtic put in a good performance, a better performance than the last game over in Germany. Obviously, if Armstrong had taken that chance in the first half, it might have been a wee bit different after that. But I thought the only minus it was two really poor goals that Celtic lost.
Yep, a lot of positives in it. I mean, Brendan Rodgers has mentioned to people that he wants this team to go through a learning curve, Barry, where they're brave on the ball, where they press, where they play his style of football rather than the suggestions of what had gone before on match day 3, which is sit in and defend. He's having none of it. And I think they executed most of his wishes last night.
Yeah, you certainly seen that last night. I was really impressed with the way they started the game. Just after the mistake for Boyata, I mean, he's got to make a decision just to header that and not rely on anything behind him. I thought after Bayern scored, they went through a wee sticky patch for 5 or 10 minutes, which is normal. But again, they came out in the second half and I thought they were different class. They pressed them high up the pitch. They kept the ball really well, which I've not really done in the Champions League. And for me, it's great to see young Scottish boys do really well. McGregor scoring the goal, who I've said plenty of times on this programme that I really rate. Kieran Tierney, Scott Brown again was excellent. So overall, it was a very good performance. But still, I think if you ask any Celtic players, they still want to win the game. But they can take a lot of positives in terms of the performance.
Yeah, here's what Brendan Rodgers, the Celtic manager, made of the performance.
The level of composure and quality that we played with tonight, I was very proud of the team. And we caused them lots of problems. Individually, of course, they're world class. And you can see that at times. We're disappointed with the goals. You can see that 2 goals that you get punished at this level in particular. But overall, we look like a proper team, and we look like a team that's developing at the level. And okay, we're disappointed to have lost, but so many positives from the game.
Yeah, Barry alluded to it moments ago, Ruffy, but James Forrest's performance for me was absolutely outstanding.
Yeah, I think it's the James Forrest on form. I think we all know when he's on form. I think it's possibly his consistency that lets him down a wee bit. But when he's on fire, when he's direct, it's the old style winger. It doesn't matter who you are at fullback. If you've got somebody running at you at pace, it's always difficult to deal with, and they just couldn't handle him at all. But it's all about confidence, and obviously with Roberts there, he realises that he has to possibly up his game and maybe get that consistency because he's sort of hanging about there.
Yeah, this is what the Celtic manager had to say about 2 of the key players, McGregor and Forrest.
The likes of Callum, is exceptional. I think the goal, was a wonderful demonstration of two Scottish players showing a great bit of skill. James coming inside and how he's lifted that over. If that was a European player or someone from them, everyone would have been raving about it. Incredible piece of skill to make the pass, and then Callum does what he does. He breaks into the box and he can finish.
I thought they deserved that equaliser at that time.
They did, as I said, I thought they came out the second half, and I think Brendan Rodgers went in and says, listen, we done well up until the Bayern scored that goal, and they came out and for the kick-off they were straight at them. They never gave them any time, and it unsettled Bayern. I'll say I forgot about James Forrest earlier on. I thought he was different class. That's the best I've seen him play in a long time. If he keeps that sort of form up, well, he could be a top player for me. Yeah,
as far as the collective, Brendan Rodgers feels, despite the defeat, there are major signs of progress.
Apart from the 2 goals that we conceded, we, defensively we were very good. We played our shape very well, blocked spaces, pressed the game well at the right moments, and then when we had the ball, we found the gaps and played very well. So it gives you confidence. Now what we've got to do is go on and finish off over these next 2 games. PSG will be a big test for us again, but when we're back here in the final group game, we want to achieve what we set out to achieve, which is to have European football after Christmas. And if we can do that, then it's a great marker and a great measure of how the players are progressing.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the German players, and certainly the backroom staff and the officials over there were raving once again, Ruffy, about the atmosphere. It was just an incredible night for it.
Oh, I think anybody that's been in that stadium, as soon as the music starts, the hairs on your back of your neck stand up, and then the supporters in the stadium buy into everything that's going on. So you've got to keep giving them something, and I think obviously when McGregor scored that goal, I mean, it was an incredible noise in the stadium. So yeah, I think the players will build on for that. I know where Brendan's coming from, but for me, the improvement will be once they get into the Europa. It'll be how they do in there. We've all saw what they can do against the teams in this group, but let's see how far we can go in the Europa.
Yep, Barry Ferguson mentioned there, they lost the game, but here's what the players made of it.
It's disappointing, that's a big one that we concede so short a period of time after scoring. But that's the name of the game, and if you make mistakes at the back, you're going to get punched.
It is, Bayern is one of the biggest teams in the world, and we made it tough for them today, and I think we showed our quality, and we have to take the positive from the game and work on the negative, and going forward, I think we have to think about small details, and that's what put us in this role.
I think it was about us trying to prove to people that we can play the way we want to play, and play well, and hopefully get performances and results. But it was kind of sloppy goal 3 minutes after we get the equaliser, and then it puts us back to square one. But as you say, it's a bigger experience in terms of getting where we want to be.
Yeah, but there's a couple of games left. I think that you've got to get a sense of perspective on this one, Barry. I mean, they can go to Paris and get hammered by 3 or 4. It could easily happen. Paris Saint-Germain are dismantling teams at the moment, but Anderlecht at home is suddenly where you say, there you are. That's what we set out to do, get European football after Christmas.
Yeah, that's a big one for me. The Anderlecht game, PSG, let's be honest, they're a phenomenal team. Every team they play against you now, they look like they're going to thump them. So I think Celtic have got their eye on the Anderlecht game at Celtic Park. I think they will beat them, and I think they will go through the Europa League, no problems for me.
Yep, here's what the manager has mentioned about European football after Christmas.
Listen, the idea is to get there. That's first and foremost. There's still some crack teams that will be involved after Christmas in that competition as well. So, but for us, we want to get there, and we want to get there playing a level of game and a level of football that can allow you to go as far as you possibly can. And I think tonight we showed in that performance that we certainly are improving our level at the very highest level.
Yep, if I'm going to be nitpicking, and I'm loath to do this, Ruffy, but I'm going to nitpick on this. Had he got the centre half in the summer, it would have made a difference in some games. but it would have made a difference in others. It may well have been that point of somebody coming in and not making that odd mistake, which costs them dearly, especially last night. That was a point in the bag there.
Yeah, I think if Brendan's honest enough, he will look at it and he'll probably wish that he had maybe moved quicker to get a centre half. But I think even I think he's made his mind up. Even a centre half going into this group wouldn't have beat Bayern, wouldn't have beat Paris. You know, Anderlecht was a tremendous performance, so another centre half wouldn't have won that game for him. I think it's when they go into the Europa, then I'm sure Celtic will move quickly to bring somebody else in.
Yep, okay. As far as the other results, we'll look back at some of the other key games from last night. There was a spanking for Chelsea at the hands of Roma. We'll also look at the fixtures taking place tonight, and then to Hibernian and the goals coming up that takes Neil Lennon's side to third in the Premiership. And we'll also talk about Alan Stubbs knocking back the chance to manage Dundee United. It's all coming up after the break. It's also the quickest goal scored in a Champions League final, Ruffy. I think it was 53 seconds when he'd scored against Liverpool in 2005. We'll have another question for you coming up to the next break. We're talking about Celtic's performance in the Champions League. Here's how it fits in with last night's results over the course of Tuesday evening in Europe's Premier Tournament. It was Basel 1 CSKA Moscow 2, Manchester United 2, Benfica 0, and as well as that Bayern result last night in Glasgow, yet again PSG dismantling Anderlecht by 5 goals to 0. And the next section of results, Atletico Madrid and Karabakh with a 1-1. Roma's 3-0 against Chelsea, absolutely sensational. No goals between Olympiacos and Barcelona, and Sporting Lisbon and Juventus a 1-1 draw. But Roma, absolutely magnificent, Ruffy, against Chelsea.
Yeah, I was impressed with them at Chelsea. I thought they could have taken something out of that one, but right for the start, you could see that the fans over there are as passionate about their team as some of ours. And they were really up for it, and quality goals, really quality goals.
I just get the feeling that suddenly, you know, last year Ruffy opted for Paris Saint-Germain to win it, and they came a cropper. But this year, you know, if they're not semi-finals minimum, or for me, the money they've spent, they should be in the Champions League final itself this season.
Yeah, well, I'll go back to watching them at Celtic Park. I was in awe of them that night. I'll go back for the goalkeeper right through to up front. I thought all over the park, different class. And for me, a team like that should be at least getting to the semi-finals, if not the final, and even maybe win it. But I still think Real Madrid are the team.
Yeah.
Last night against Anderlecht, they had 15 shots on target in the first 15 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, Ruffy. Okay. Did you tip them this year again?
Of course I did.
There you are. Here's how the Wednesday fixtures are shaping up in the Champions League, and we'll reflect on the games tomorrow night on the programme. Liverpool against Maribor should be a goal fest. Seville, Spartak Moscow, Napoli against Manchester City, Shakhtar Donetsk against Feyenoord, and Besiktas Monaco, Porto against RB Leipzig, Borussia Dortmund against Apoel Nicosia. And there's the mouth-watering one, Tottenham against Real Madrid, not too far away from that match kicking off. OK, let's switch back to domestic football. Last night, there was one match at Rugby Park. It was Kilmarnock against Hibernian. This was a chance for Steve Clarke to take a bow in front of the home fans. It was also an opportunity for Hibs to climb up the table into third position. And boy, did they grasp their opportunity, Ruffy.
Yeah, they certainly did. Came out very quickly after the Motherwell game. Good boy. I mean, boy McGinn, you know, we're all raving about it, and if he can do that in a Scotland jersey, we've won a watch. It's a good ball into the box. And again, a midfield player in the 6-yard box, that's what you're looking for, because we know the strikers don't score all the time. this young guy, can he stop scoring every time he's given the chance? And another quality ball into the box as well. Here you can see it a wee bit better. Fantastic ball from McGinn over the top. Super, first time. And a great goal. I'm sure Neil Lennon will be really happy with that. But the boy Boyle as well, he's doing particularly well. His pace seems to be troubling a lot of teams just now. But Barry will tell you, when you're winning and scoring goals, you just look forward to every game. You'll take 2 games a week, and that's what Hibs are doing just now.
Yeah, another thing about it, I think we've got to be fair to Kilmarnock. I mean, they hit the woodwork 3 times. Chris Boyd had an absolute raker of a free kick tipped over the bar as well. I think the Kelly fans were quite positive in what they'd witnessed from them. Maybe 3-0 flattered Hibs.
It maybe flattered them a bit, but listen, it just shows you what a good result it was for Hibs going there. I mean, they've Kilmarnock, I went to Ibrox, took a point, went to Celtic Park and took a point. And obviously it was Stevie Clark's first home game. And I don't think it was 3-0, but Hibs just edged it for me. But I'll go back to the goal. That's what I'm seeing different from McGinn now. He's starting to get a goal, and also we've seen his pass for the second goal for Grady. He cross it in for Simon Murray. I think that's something that McGinn's improved certainly this season. But Hibs are a team I like. I think the 3 in the middle of the park for them, the trio, Bartley, McGeoch and McGinn, out with Celtic, are up there with the best 3 in the country.
Yeah.
So I fancy Hibs to challenge certainly for second spot this season. That's how highly I rate them.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great point that Barry makes, Ruffy, because I just can't stop raving about. I mean, I know McGinn's man of the moment, but I can't stop raving about McGeoch when he's fit and avoids injury. He can go past men. He can pick a pass as well. He just wants the ball in positions where you've got 2 or 3 guys around him. He doesn't mind.
Well, I think he's just been one of these players that's obviously had a lot of injuries, and his confidence was low. But now we're seeing some of the form that he showed when he was at Celtic as a young boy. You've got a better memory than me. I remember him scoring a goal for the halfway line. And doing exactly what you said, went by people for fun and then slotting it in, and that's something that Hibs are now getting the benefit of, because he's got that kind of confidence. He's also got McGinn beside him, and if the 2 of them are working together, the more they play each other, they'll know their strengths and weaknesses, and that's what Hibs are getting the benefit of.
What I like about the 2 of them is that they're not scared to take the ball in tight areas. If there's 2 or 3 players round about them, they'll go and they still want the ball. For me, that shows confidence in their own ability. As you say, McGeoch's a player I've always liked. As you said, he's maybe get 2 or 3 games and he's out for 2 or 3 games with an injury. So hopefully he'll get a run of games, and he shouldn't be far away for the Scotland squad. Yeah.
As far as McGinn is concerned, I mean, Neil Lennon says, look, I want him to be available for the game up at Pittodrie. He wants him to get out there and be playing in the Scotland jersey. He probably needs a rest, but he's going to let him go there, even if he's got a wee niggling injury. He should be the player, I think, that will ease the pain of Scott Brown when he eventually decides enough is enough.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, I've been saying for about a year, I think he's a player that should have been in the starting 11. I'm not a manager, but I've seen him enough times to suggest that he should be a certain starter. But again, we'll go back. It'll be a worry for Lenny going up there. He's so important to Hibs. It's certainly not just McGinn, as I mentioned a couple of minutes ago. The midfield trio for me are the engine room in there for Hibs. So I don't know whether he'll go up there and they might leave him out because he has got a niggle. But I would like to see him in the Scotland jersey, even if it's for 45 minutes or 60 minutes. Then they can bring him off if he feels. I don't know what type of injury it is. Is it a calf injury or something? So Hibs will certainly want him for the following game. Yeah,
as far as Kelly are concerned, Ruffy, I still think you've seen enough in the short period of time that do you see them being involved in the relegation fight, although they're second from bottom at the moment?
I think the 5 teams that are down there will be the 5 teams that will be the majority of the season. But I think what the new manager has to do is he has to start winning games at home. That's your bread and butter, and unfortunately for Kilmarnock, their home form hasn't been particularly good. So he'll have a list of fixtures that there'll be games, 4 or 5 games that he'll be looking at and saying, look, these are the games we need to pick up points against the teams that are round about us. So I mean, that would be disappointing because your first game at home, you're always wanting some kind of result to send the fans away happy.
Yep. Okay. Let's talk about Alan Stubbs. I think Stephen Thompson, certainly the board, would have been looking at him and thinking, he's the man we want. Alan Stubbs doesn't want it.
Yeah, I'm not surprised that I says earlier on. I know Alan Stubbs, John Hughes, guys like that have been mentioned. I think they've got a perfect guy to go in and take it, and that's Jim McIntyre. I says that a couple of weeks ago when he got let go for Ross County. Jim has played at Dundee United, so is his sidekick Dodgy, so they know what it's all about. So Jim McIntyre for me is the obvious choice.
Yeah. In the end, probably Alan Stubbs has probably, does he think there's a bigger job down south? Possibly. Or maybe Dundee United are not able to match his expectations of what he thinks it will take to get them back into that division.
Well, I think first of all what he's done is he's kept his name out there. There's a lot of managers, don't get interviews, so his face is in the paper now. People know he's still actively wanting to get into a club. I think unfortunately for Dundee United, he was very successful at Hibs, and he's looked at the infrastructure that's at Hibs just now, and maybe went up to Dundee United and went, well, there's something just missing here, that the next club I want to go to, I want to be at for 3 or 4 years. So it's only him can make that decision.
I agree with you, Barry. I think every player I've spoken to about Jim McIntyre, I thought he was sacked too early at Ross County. That's for starters. Yep. But every player I speak to says, listen, he's so well organised and meticulous. They all know their job. They all know the role. And with that, I think United would be steady. They're only 3 points off St Mirren.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. 3 points off the top. I've also, the same as you, Peter, I've spoken to a few guys who have been managed by Jim. I know Dodger really well, obviously. Morning face wee so-and-so up there with myself. But listen, I think it's a perfect fit for Dundee United. Now that Alan Stubbs says he doesn't want the job, I think Jim and Dodgy would be perfect.
Yep, okay. You can give us your thoughts on that at Peter and Ruffy on Twitter and Facebook.com/Peter and Ruffy. Give us your star man. You might want to talk about the Champions League from last night, Celtic's performance, the atmosphere, and of course the performance. What do you think will happen when Celtic head to Paris to take on PSG? Coming up in the next part of the programme, we're going to hear from Martin Canning. We'll also talk about that injury blow for Hearts with Jamie Walker as well. And we'll reflect on the passing of one of Hearts' Scottish Cup winning side of 1998, Stefano Salvatori. It's all about football on the show. Hopefully you can join us after this quick break. As ever, we always like to give you a little question to take you over the next couple of minutes. Can't believe you never got that, Ruffy. He's in my all-time World 11. If you ever get a chance, look up his goal-scoring average for club and country. Phenomenal.
Yep, I think he won. Did he not win the big award at the end of the year for the Player Award a couple of times?
Yeah, Ballon d'Or.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't rule him out of having won that, but he was a fantastic striker. One of those guys that could probably be out of the game for 89 minutes. Probably a wee bit. You're too young,
far too young
to remember. Okay. Anyway, get him on YouTube. You'll see how good a player he was, Gert Muller. Let's look to Hamilton Accies because suddenly one win in the last 9, but it was a crucial win at the weekend. Martin Canning's been talking today. I think he's been emphasising, Ruffy, the fact that Hamilton Accies can go into the game at the weekend against Aberdeen with confidence. They've got that win, but they're getting players back from injury.
Yeah, but I'm sure Martin Canning and the players were just interested in beating the teams round about them. Just as I was talking about with Kilmarnock there, and that was a surprise to everybody at the weekend after Neil McCann's side doing particularly well at Parkhead, and all credit to Hamilton. I mean, nothing changes with Hamilton. Every time you speak to a manager from another team when they've got Hamilton coming up, they know they've got to win the game. They know that Hamilton aren't going to give you an easy 3 points, and they went up to Dundee. It's always good to get the first goal away from home, and after that, I think Dundee were disappointing, but you can't take anything away from Hamilton.
Yeah, well, look at it. Martin Canning's Gary Woods, David Templeton back there, Grant Gillespie, Danny Redmond, and he's mentioned Ali Crawford and Georgios Saris are on the way back as well. Suddenly, when you've got 5 or 6 extra players to call on, you know, the starting 11 gets stronger, but you've got at least players that can come off the bench and make a difference as well.
Out of that 6 I mentioned, probably 4 are certain starters.
Yeah.
So like the size of the squad that Hamilton have got, they need these players playing week in, week out. But see what Ruffy was saying a minute ago there, what a result, going up to Dens Park. Difficult place to go. I didn't fancy them, if I'm being honest, but I was delighted because, as you know, I've got a soft spot for Aki, so I was delighted they got the win.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the manager has mentioned that you know, lots of clubs are going to have good runs and bad runs coming up over this campaign.
Obviously, when you look at the results, the last couple of weeks haven't been what we'd have expected. But we know here there's going to be games we're going to go through 2 or 3 weeks, 4 weeks, we don't pick up points. Teams are going through the same phase just now, and it's the important thing is, what we talked about, psychology, is making sure that you keep focused and keep on putting the importance onto the next game. And thankfully for us on Saturday, we're able to go and beat Dundee.
See, that's where I think the experience will stand them in good stead, because they, you know, they can chart it and look at it season in, season out. Okay, we've had 6 bad runs, 6 bad games here, but if we string 3 or 4 together, you know, they're not a panic team as far as I'm concerned. The individuals think it's getting to the end of the season, well, we could nick the playoffs.
But that's throughout the full club.
Yeah.
I mean, you've heard the chairman and certain people at the club always talk about that. If they go through a bad run of results, as Martin Canning just said, they're 4, 5, even 6 weeks at times, there's no panic, there's nothing comes out of the club, and they always survive. Hamilton Accies, I think it's a well-run club in that term. Like, he's never under pressure. You've just looked at this season, how many managers in the Premier League have lost their job? They've went 3 or 4 weeks with bad results. Martin Canning's done that last 3 years, and they've kept with him, and they've been successful with staying in the league, and that's the bottom line. Accies just want to stay in the Premier League. Yeah,
Martin Canning also is aware of the fact that they're playing against Aberdeen at the weekend. They actually won on 2 occasions last year against Aberdeen. In fact, I was at the game. I mean, I'm looking at your gear at the moment. When you go and watch football, Ruffy, he doesn't care what he's wearing. I had to actually look twice to see him in the stand. He looked as if he was going to sell macaroon bars and chewing gum. But you were there that night when they defeated. Yeah, you were there when they defeated Aberdeen 1-0.
Yeah, I know. Listen, it's not just Aberdeen. I don't think any team in that Premier League fancies going to New Douglas Park with a surface. Aki's training it every single day. I think if you ask any manager, out with Martin Canning and obviously Stevie Clark, I know they've got AstroTurf down at Kilmarnock, they would rather play in grass. So they've got a bit of preparation. Aberdeen, I'd guess they would train 2 or 3 days on the AstroTurf, but it's a place, even back when I was playing, I never enjoyed going because you were always in for a tough game at Accies.
Yeah. Okay, let's switch to Hearts. The prognosis on Jamie Walker, not as bad as first feared. I think they thought he was going to be out for a heck of a long time, but suddenly it's 4 weeks with that hamstring, which is not too bad for the Jambos. I think he could be back maybe for the 19th of November for the opening of the stand.
No, I don't think, Peter, it is a bad blow, because if you listen to Craig Levine after the game on Saturday, he was saying that was the main reason that they lost the game. They were doing okay with Rangers, and when Jamie Walker was on the park, and when he went off the park, they seemed to, the players round about him seemed to struggle. So I think he's a big player for them, and he will be missed.
For me, he's a bright spark at Hearts. Being one of my old clubs, I was disappointed they didn't actually sign Jamie Walker. He's one player that I'd certainly go and try and get if I was in at Rangers. He's always a player that I've enjoyed watching, and he'll be a massive, Ruffy said, he'll be a massive miss for Hearts.
Yeah, I'm going to talk to you about Rangers in just a moment, but one person that is a massive loss to the Hearts family, and it certainly caught me by surprise today, was Stefano Salvatori. Passed away at the age of 49, Ruffy, just a short illness. I think a lot of Hearts fans will look back at his time in the midfield as part of that cup-winning side with great fondness. Certainly gone too soon, but over and above that, in that midfield, he helped Hearts to finish third in the table, and of course they defeated Rangers in the Scottish Cup final at Celtic Park.
Yeah, I think the Hearts supporters all have looked over the years at the amount of foreign players that they've had in at the club, and certainly he was definitely one of the successes. You know, I think he bought into everything that was about Hearts. If you hear the supporters talking about him, he enjoyed every minute of it. So yeah, he'll be sadly missed by the Hearts supporters.
Yeah, I'll tell you one thing that I completely had forgotten about. He was actually part of the squad, the AC Milan squad. They won the Champions League, and he played in the Super Cup win over Barcelona as well. So he'd some good medals.
Yeah, he had a good pedigree. 49 for me, far too young.
Yeah. Did you play against him?
I did play against him, yep.
Yep, middle of the park.
It was actually Simon Donnelly had mentioned the day on the phone to me that he'd passed away. And the first thing I remember was obviously the long hair, Italian, typical long hair. But no, he was a decent player. As I said, played with AC Milan, so he must have been very good.
Yeah, and I'm looking at the team that played, and I remember so many of them, Ruffy, because I was a young reporter in Edinburgh.
A long time ago, that.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for that, Murray. Let me read you the starting 11, which just shows you, you know, how things have changed dramatically at so many clubs. Rusey in goal, a back four of McPherson, Weir, Ritchie and Naismith, Gary Naismith. Flogel, Cameron, Salvatori, Fulton, McCann and Stefan Adam. That's not a bad side to win the Scottish Cup in '98, is it, Ruffy?
Yeah, it's a super side. You know, a lot of experience there, a lot of youth as well. And I mean, again, Hearts supporters will remember, you know, the really, really good times, and that was one of them. Yeah,
when you think about that side there, you know, you could pick out easily. Well, you know all about Weir and McCann. They went on to win titles with Rangers. But
Paul Ritchie also came to Rangers.
Paul Ritchie actually came, yeah, and we've had Paul Ritchie on the show. But you look at Cameron and Naismith; they had really good careers down south as well.
Yeah, they did. You just mentioned the team there. Every single one of their players, really, really good players. Fulton, used to call him Baggio.
Yeah.
I used to, honestly, I was in a couple of Scotland squads. Well, I was going to say Ricky there. Stevie Fulton, I meant. No, he had excellent ability.
Yeah.
Excellent team. And obviously, David Beer and Neil McCann came to Rangers, and I played with them, and also Paul Ritchie. So, good team.
Yeah, absolutely. It's amazing. Dave McPherson, he must have some amount of medals when you think about it from the two teams, Hearts and Rangers. He used to just go along the M8 and a quick transfer deal, Ruffy, back from one club to that and then back again.
Yeah, big man was a good player as well for every club he played for.
Yep, absolutely. I think Hearts themselves will pay tribute to Stefano Salvatori, just one of those players that a lot of Jambos will look back with great fondness to that 1998 squads who won the Scottish Cup and finished third in the table as well. Moving on to a couple of little bits of news I want to get your thoughts on before we hit the break. Two managers who've gone from the clubs. Jim Chapman at Clyde didn't quite work out the expectations the Clyde board have mentioned on this one. It's a tough job, you know it only too well.
Yeah, looking back, I've done all right the last 2.5 years. It is tough. Listen, I take my hat off to managers and coaches at work at that level. You only get, maximum 3.5 hours, 4 at a push per week. It's not enough time to work with them and get into a certain formation or a way you want them to play. So I always look out for Clyde. Listen, I look back to 2.5 years and I enjoyed it there. And you want to see managers go there and last a bit longer. So obviously it's not worked out, and hopefully they can get the right man for the job.
Yeah, and Billy Brown, I don't think he enjoyed being back in the hot seat, Ruffy. I got the feeling that Billy, just walking away from Cowdenbeath, just thought maybe he wasn't enjoying it as much as he'd hoped.
Yeah, but I think like anybody, when you're out of the game for so long, when you've been in the game for so long, you want to be back in, you know, and he was desperate to get back in to just be part of the whole setup, and I'm sure he would have enjoyed it initially, but I don't think Billy's ever been a number one. You know, he's always been a foil for the manager.
Okay, coming up after the break, going to talk to Barry about Rangers. We'll get his thoughts on the interim manager. As you can see, I've modelled my entire game on him, Ferenc Puskas.
He doesn't look as if he's got 8% fat there.
No, I don't think it. Amazingly, it's funny you should say that.
He
Because
wouldn't get into the Celtic
team. I wonder if Ferenc Puskas would get into Brendan Rodgers' Celtic side. I'll need to ask him about that, because even with his build, he was a sensational player. And I'm sick of mentioning great players that you're going to have to look up on YouTube, but he was magnificent. I'll tell you a great story about him, Ruffy. When the Champions League was in Glasgow in 2002, you know how you have you have your press media kit with all the paraphernalia about the final between Real Madrid and Bayer Leverkusen. And I was working for STV at the time, and they said to us, look, you'll need to go out to the Hilton and interview all the managers, because Wenger was there, I think Marcello Lippi was there, Fabio Capello, a few others. And when I went into the foyer to wait, I spotted an old man just sitting with these huge glasses in the corner. And it was Ferenc Puskas. And I went over and I thought to myself, oh, great player. Got him to sign the book, still got it to this day, Ruffy. I mean, people were walking past, did not know it was him. And then when I said to him, is there any chance, he couldn't speak fluent Glaswegian, but I gestured towards him and he signed it and smiled, and I thought, magnificent.
Yeah. I think another story down the time is when Jim Baxter took him to a
that's
party.
maybe not the story we were looking for, actually, about Ferenc Puskas, to be honest with you. Why? Is there any chance you can just shut up? The Ferenc Puskas signing my book's a better story, and certainly keeps us on air. Anyway, so with that in mind, let's crack on. Listen, Dundee, they can't buy a result at the moment. Didn't see the one coming against Hamilton. Neil McCann's been talking today, saying he doesn't fear the sack. I mean, I never even thought he was under pressure for that. I mean, he's got a difficult job. Keep them in the division, but they've got Hibs this weekend, which you need like a hole in the head.
I know. I mean, as I said previous, Hibs are in great form. I thought he had a difficult start to the season, Neil McCann, and then they started to get a few results, and I'm thinking, right, that's them starting to motor and get into Neil's ideas. But of late they've had 2 or 3 bad results. Listen, I know him really well as a player. He's a fighter, and he'll keep demanding for the players. So I don't see his job will be in any danger.
Yeah, I think what Neil needs is a January transfer window, Ruffy. Okay, they've lost the last 4 games. They've got Hibs coming up, then it's Kilmarnock, Rangers and Ross County. He needs to get to the window and then say, okay, here's the type of player I want to play for Dundee.
I think all credit to him that he's went in there and he's gave 3 or 4 young boys a chance. The big centre-half boy looks reasonable. And there's the wee fullback Kerr, is it? And he's sticking by them, and I'm sure that at the end the players will respond to that. That look, here's a manager who's come in and give me a chance, and it's not going well. Well, I'm going to work for him really hard. But I think Neil's the same as everybody else. I keep going on about this fixture list, albeit you've just mentioned some of them there. Yeah. He'll look at that fixture list and say, right, I've got 5 games coming up. This is what we need to take out of this. And as long as, I've said it with Alan Archibald as well, as long as there isn't a massive gap there at the bottom of that league, the board and whoever's in charge should stick by him.
Yeah, there are a few games where I think you were looking and thinking we can pick up points, but it's also tight there. I think you're 100% correct, Ruffy. It's also tight that they're not detached. Let me talk about your old side. Graham Murty came in, steadied the ship, and your old mucker Kenny Miller goes in, creates 1 and scores 2.
Yeah, listen, when obviously the manager gets sacked, I had no doubt in my mind that they would go to Murrayfield and get a win. Kyle Lafferty scored that free kick. I was like, well, here we go, this is testing. But a testing time, for the team, but they come through it. And again, Kenny's popped up. I know he got a deflection, but a great run from him. Second goal, great header, great ball in, and then he's obviously set up the third goal. It just shows you, obviously the last manager, the players weren't at it, and you seen the difference. It was a total different Rangers team I seen playing against Hearts at Murrayfield on Saturday, and that's the way that a Rangers team needs to play. I know people can say Hearts aren't in fantastic form, or I know the games at Murrayfield and not at Tynecastle, but they still had to go there and do a job. And all fairness to Graham Murray, he set them out, had a game plan, and it won, and they've come away with 3 points. That's all the Rangers fans were wanting. And obviously Kenny's come in for Siberia and played a blinder. And I was glad they took him off at the end, because he got a great reception for the Rangers fans. Because I know some Rangers fans will probably think what was going on, Kenny was party. I've said plenty of times in this show, I had absolute no doubt in my mind that there was nothing coming out of Murray Park, or whatever the manager was saying was anything to do with Kenny Miller. So I was delighted for him. He deserved it, and I thought his performance was excellent.
Yeah, okay, that's one aspect of the Rangers story. We've been discussing it ad nauseum over the last week, which is quite simply Derek McInnes.
Yep.
I mean, I know it'll annoy a lot of Aberdeen fans who watch the programme. I think he's reached the ceiling with them. I think Rangers have to show ambition, intent, and go and get him. What do you think? Is he the first choice? Should he be the man that they pull out all the stops for?
Yeah, for me, he is the first choice. Listen, I don't mind what I say about Aberdeen. I'm not well liked up there anyway.
Have you narrowed it down to Aberdeen?
well, 2 subs of Scotland, or even a bit more. No, I'm in agreement with you. I think Dell's took Aberdeen as far as he can go, and I think he deserves this chance. The job he's done up there has been excellent. It has been excellent, and I think he should be #1 target. I don't think anything will happen this week. I think they'll leave Graham Murray in charge, but then they've got the international week where hopefully they'll get the manager in, and hopefully it's Derek McInnes, because I do think he will be a good Rangers manager. I know a lot of people say it doesn't matter if you don't know the club. I do think it does matter to me. He's been a Rangers fan. He's played at Rangers. He knows what's needed to play with Rangers. He knows the expectations. He knows what foundations the club is built on. So I think he'd be the perfect choice for me. Yeah,
let's just say they get him. What are the expectations, or what should be the expectations? I mean, unfortunately, Pedro Caixinha was listening, people putting things in his head, and started talking a lot of nonsense. And Rangers fans weren't buying into it either.
I think if a guy like Derek McInnes, knowing him, comes to Rangers, I don't think he would let MD put anything into his head. He'd make the decisions. I think that's one thing that I think is needed as a Rangers manager. Whatever's said in public or press conferences, he decides.
He'll be able to build a better side. I don't know if you agree with that. He'll be able to build a better side and maybe then have a go. But it's a tough job for the next couple of years. And Rangers fans, Mark Allen, the director of football, has already said, stop, get that title away from Celtic.
Well, I can understand Mark Allen. That has got to be it's got to be in sight to try and stop Celtic. Whether they do it or not, it's going to be a difficult job, because I think Celtic are a long way ahead of everybody in this league. But at least he's come out and made that statement, and the next manager needs to believe that as well. And I think somebody like Derek McInnes coming in, maybe in the next week or two, he'll have a January window. I don't know what kind of money he'll have available, but he'll have January, then he'll have the summer, because I would imagine that he would want to obviously bring in his own players, and I think Rangers do need a bit of an overhaul. I know they've spent a lot of money in the summer, but I don't know if some of these players, listen, they are good players, but I don't know if they've got the mentality upstairs to play with a club like Rangers.
Yeah. Would you like to see the board come out and say, OK, we're going for him? Would you like to see them say, here is our intent, we are going to back him in this window?
Yeah, I think the fans would like that. It goes a bit quiet now. There's nothing really been said since Thursday afternoon when the manager gets sacked. They put a statement out, and there's been nothing since. I think I I would have thought, that maybe they'd have come out on Monday and says, listen, we've got 2 or 3 managers, we're going to speak to them, and once the international break comes, we'll be making a decision. So it's been a bit quiet, which I'm a bit surprised about, and I think that the fans are due a bit of honesty coming out, you know what I mean? They want to know what's going on inside their club, because this season's been a bit of a write-off, apart from Saturday, which was a great performance, but get knocked out the cup a couple of weeks ago, dropped 2 points at home against Kilmarnock, albeit the performance wasn't great. That's no Rangers. That's no Rangers for me.
Yeah. I mean, I presume Ruffy will start to see it gather pace over the, as Barry says, once it gets to the international break.
Yeah, well, I think it might not be a bad thing. Not the paper's not throwing names up, because you know what happens. You know, names do get thrown up, and then the supporters, you know, get delusioned of, you know, some of the names that are up there. So I know maybe it might be the case that they obviously will have had a board meeting with Dave King being here. Maybe he is the one that they want to go for.
I would always think, if you are getting rid of a manager, sacking him or dismissing him, whatever you want to call it, they would have an idea in their head before they do it. I would imagine after the game against Motherwell, the disappointing performance and devastating getting knocked out in the semi-final, they would have had an idea of who they would be getting in.
Yep, I think that will emerge over the next couple of days. We'll find out, and we'll talk about it on this show. Thanks for watching.